What really bites my finger, Charlie, is that you don't seem to have a grasp on reality. The glue has gone to your head.
And then down there, right by the water, I'm going to build a cabin.
Oh, Charlie, what's a haberdasher from Haverhill doing with all these big dreams? You don't know the first thing about building a cabin.
Piffle, my love, the old paint shed behind the house, the one you've been after me to get rid of. I'm going to move it up here and put it right there. That'll be the center of the cabin, and we'll build around it.
Have you gotten into the glue again, Charlie? You're sounding like a mad hatter. These are not plans for people like us in this place. Oh, this place is so barren. What happened to all the trees?
But that was part of the deal. My uncle gave me a good price if I let him sell the trees to the lumber mill. He had the place lumbered.
The trees that you could have used to build the cabin? Let's send a telegram to O. Henry. I think we've got a new story for him. However, will you move that paint shed? It must be more than 10 miles away.
10 miles, more or less. I've got my father's old carriage.
10 miles? That'll take a day at least. I don't get it. It's so barren. What kind of place is this?
It's the future, my love. Trees grow. It's not what it is, it's what it will be. A lake house. A place where our grandchildren's grandchildren will bring their grandchildren. That's what we're building.
Is this your Uncle Desmond?
Yes, my father's older brother. He inherited nearly this entire side of the lake from my grandfather. It's been in the family since I don't know when, forever. Uncle Desmond splitting it up into lots and is selling it off.
And this is the lot he's got for you.
Isn't it beautiful? And at least it'll stay in the Abbott family, right? Well, I'm moving the paint shed. You ought to be happy about that.
Have you built an outhouse yet? There's something about this place that makes me want to pee.
It's just up the hill there. That's where the outhouse will be. Gonna have to blast through the granite to get the right depth.
You're gonna blast? After what happened to your father?
It was not proven to be his blast that killed those men.
And him. He was one of those men.
Yes, I'm just saying that there is no proof that he was anything more than a victim.
Tell that to the newspaper.
Sorry, what? Did you say something? I couldn't quite make it out.
Face it, Charlie, your father was never the same since the war.
He had a tough time of it, but I'll admit that. But he did what he could since he came back from the rebellion.
Yes, and then we had to go all the way down to Quincy to get work. And then he left his wife a widow and his children fatherless.
I seem to have made it through okay.
This purchase is not compelling evidence of that. How much, Charlie?
How much?
How much did you pay for this place?
What? I got a very good deal.
How much?
Less than half, way less than half of what he's selling the other lots for. And this is nearly 2 acres.
How much?
2 acres right on the lake. The sunset's just over that hill all summer long.
Yes, 2 acres on a lake in the middle of nowhere. We're 10 miles from the nearest town. Who's ever going to want to come out here and see that sunset, much less sleep in the reformed paint shed? How much?
Before long, ordinary people are going to have those motorized carriages, and we'll be able to go in an hour as far as we can go in a day.
How much?
And surely you've read about those Wright brothers down in North Carolina last year. I swear, before we know it, people will be able to cross the country, maybe even the ocean, at speeds we can't imagine.
How much?
$50.
$50. Oh, Charlie, do we even have that much saved? You really have gone back on the glue, haven't you?
I gave him $10, and he's letting me pay the rest over the next 4 years.
You've gone into debt for this place, Charlie? What if something happens to you? What will become of the children and me if something happens to you and we're left with that kind of debt hanging over us?
Nothing will happen to me.
I'm sure that's what your father said, too, probably while he was packing the powder.
I am not my father. You're full of prunes if you think I am.
You know things haven't been going so well at the haberdashery. How can you get us into debt when things are so precarious with the shop?
Listen, Alma, my love, I have to tell you something. Something about the shop.
Oh dear. Is this some plum diddle I don't want to hear?
But I think it's good news, but it might be kind of hard to hear, but I think you'll understand. Here, sit on this rock.
I do think I will remain standing. I don't want to risk my Sunday best by sitting on a rock. I don't know how long it will be before I can have a new dress made. What is it? What's gone on with the shop?
Well, Robert Wellman has asked me numerous times to sell my business to him.
Robert Wellman is a malicious man. I don't know what he has against you.
Well, each time he asked, he's offered more and more, and well, I couldn't resist his latest offer.
You've sold the haberdashery to Robert Wellman. But Charlie, he's your nemesis. He's been nothing but a pain in the... Oh, I hate to be vulgar, Charlie, but that's all I can think. He's a pain in the rear.
Alma, language, please.
Well, I do beg your pardon, but here I am on this lovely Sunday, just out of church, and my husband lets me know we're on the primrose path to Jericho. First, he squanders everything we have, and then some on this flumdiddle plot of whatever this is in the middle of nowhere. And then, if that wasn't enough to send me for the vapors, then he tells me we are no longer part of the shopkeeping class. What are we now, Charlie? What are we now?
I will give that to you, Alma. That is a lot to take in, but all is not lost. Part of what made his latest offer so appealing is that he has guaranteed me a spot in his company. All I have to do is work for him.
Oh, all you have to do is work for the man who has made our lives difficult since he came to town. Have you been on a bash, Charlie? That really gets my that really gets my nanny.
But I'm guaranteed work. I'm guaranteed a living wage, enough that will provide for you and the kids. I'll be able to pay off the place in no time, and we'll make great headway on the other debts.
I really must pee. You've got me all of a doodah. Are there any trees left? I suppose if I could just find a short clump. It's not likely there's anyone around who might see or ever will be around for that matter.
I wouldn't be so sure of that.
What really bites my finger, Charlie, is that you don't seem to have a grasp on reality. The glue has gone to your head.
You'll see, Alma. Here. Let's get you back to town.
And I don't mind if I never step foot in this plot again. Charlie did die, and he did so before any of his dreams could come to pass. We went back into town, and the reality of what he had done hit him hard. A year after starting work for Robert Wellman, the economy went into a dither, and Wellman closed down the shop. Charlie tried to get his business back, but Wellman simply refused. I think he did so out of spite more than anything else. The year Charlie'd spent as a clerk robbed him of his vigor. The money we'd gotten for selling the haberdashery was all but gone, and soon he found he could not make payments to his uncle. Charlie did what he promised us he would never do. He shuffled from this mortal coil, leaving behind the legacy of that cursed place. Fortunately, a certain feminine guile freed us from the debt to his uncle. He took the property back and left the beginnings of what the lake house became in place. When Uncle Desmond died, he left it to my son.